Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to a cool evening. One of probably many to come cool evenings. So let's settle into our evening with our meditation. So having established our comfortable sitting position, aligning our body with some degree of symmetry, balance, poise, helping to enable some inner mindful presence. Our eyes gently closed, helping to bring awareness within as we move the mind away from the worries and woes of the world, away from the concerns and issues of self, thoughts about what has been, thoughts about what might be, and just allowing our mind to settle into the present moment knowing, now knowing awareness. And as the mind quietens down, enabling some inner stillness, some inner silence, some inner spaciousness of mind-heart, that sense of presence, peace, serenity. And using the naturally occurring sensation of our breath as our reference point for the present moment, but setting up the meditation, setting up mind and body, firstly relaxing awareness down into the body, breathing out any stress, tension, bringing awareness into the body, the mind in the body in the mind. Sensing, feeling this platform of experience, the body. Feeling grounded, settled, centered, present. Noticing a few contact sensations, maybe feeling our feet connecting with the floor. Feeling our body against the chair, cushion, or meditation stool. Noticing and feeling the placement of our hands and fingers resting in our lap. Making sure they feel comfortable, adjusting them if we need to. Relaxing the abdomen belly area. Relaxing the chest area so we can breathe freely. Feeling the air connecting with our face. And also noticing subtle light coming in through the closed eyelids and even looking into that lightness, brightness, blankness through the closed eyelids. A forward focused gaze into the space in front through the closed eyelids. And not being distracted by background sounds that we might hear. And particularly also for the internal mental sight or sound of thoughts that might occur. Choosing to not engage into the activity of thinking, but rather choosing to bring mindful awareness to the breath. This ongoing perennial process breathing, this life-giving process breathing. Receiving the gift of life with each in-breath, then gently returning the gift to the space around us. Receiving, returning, allowing the in-breath, letting that go. The whole meditation is about not holding, not clinging, not personalizing. Allowing mind and body to become aligned, harmonized in the present. Allowing the fundamental true nature of the mind heart is inner stillness, silence, spaciousness to become apparent. A deeper domain of our being. Feeling the inflow, outflow of the breath. Looking into the lightness, brightness through the closed eyelids. And using a mental word or two in the mind if that's helpful, a mental mantra. Whatever one or two words can be helpful to keep the mind aware of breath here now. Allowing the mind to settle into calm, clarity, peace, and presence. Please help yourself to a cup of tea. And also there's the notes that I made up for the retreat day last Sunday down by the Dana Bowl, if anyone would like to take a set of notes if you weren't here. And also there's a number of free books on the side as well. So please help yourself. So last Sunday we had a half-day meditation retreat, which I think went well. Certainly the weather was good. Good to have a pleasant day. Though if it rains, that's okay as well. But certainly a pleasant day for last Sunday, and a good gathering of people as well. I think there was 22 people were here, and we have a bit of a tradition after such a retreat, so that the Thursday after that we have a bit of a debrief, especially in the context of Buddhist practice and the times of the Buddha, where a lot of the discourses, the teachings of the Buddha are recounted by Venerable Ananda, who was the Buddha's attendant for many, many years, and would recount what the Buddha said. And hence a lot of the discourses, the suttas begin with the words ewa me sotang, thus have I heard. And so in that sense, for ourselves, having an ewa me sotang Thursday session where we can maybe recount, reflect, consider some of the things that we heard on the retreat day, things that maybe stood out for us, were significant, meaningful, or any questions that one might have had, or any particular experiences that one had that one would like to share. And especially for those that weren't here on the retreat day, it provides a sense of hearing what it was like and what was said, and also a reminder for those that were on the day as well, because we all hear things from where we sit, from our own particular perspective. So we hear things in a particular way that might stand out, and it's nice to be able to share and then hear different things that were significant. So just as a bit of a summary, the retreat was the theme of meditation as special, spiritual, and sacred, which I haven't spoken much about before as a designated topic, but I thought it was quite relevant to bring it up in the context of meditation has over the last 30, 40 years become very secular, very secularized. As I mentioned a couple of times before, it's moved from the monastery, the ashram, the zendo into mainstream, so that most psychologists recommend mindfulness meditation, mindfulness practice, and certainly mindfulness meditation is used in not just health settings, but also into business, corporate life, enhancing the quality and clarity of mind so people can function better in business and also in the sports and athletic arena as well, which is fine, but if it's not acknowledged and appreciated where mindfulness and meditation has come from, then something significant, something special is lost. And so it becomes rather reduced, diminished in its capacity to fulfill something deep and profound for people. And that is more that spiritual or sacred domain, which I think most people have a sort of a sense of that, a yearning, a feeling of something beyond just the mundane, mortal, material, worldly life that we certainly get caught up in. But there's something else, something more that we can feel at times, that we are attracted to, which moves us to certain practices, certain places, certain rituals, certain symbols, that helps to resonate with something deeper, more profound within our being. And certainly meditation is one thing that can certainly help one to access that deeper domain of our being, and also to realize something profound beyond just worldly gains and material pursuits, but spiritual freedom, salvation, enlightenment, whatever word you want to use to describe that which is beyond the sort of samsaric mundane. So a nirvana approach rather than a samsaric approach to life. And certainly meditation is a fundamental practice in most religious traditions in the world. They'll practice some form of meditation, specifically meditation or prayer or contemplation, to help the mind move beyond just concerns about self, concerns about worldly things, into connecting to what we might call the spiritual or the sacred. And so on the Sunday, I mentioned that meditation is special. It's a special time out of the usual engagement of our mind into the ways of the world and concerns and busyness. So it's a special time to sit, to be, to breathe, to quiet and calm the mind, to allow the heart, or the Buddhist word chitta, to become more apparent. So something quite special, and that then moves the mind into a more of a spiritual sense, where meditation allows the mind to perceive and engage spiritual qualities, spiritual virtues. The Buddha spoke a lot about the importance of developing spiritual virtues, such as the list of the 10 paramita, 10 spiritual virtues, or the Brahma Vihara, the divine abidings, abiding in and from spiritual qualities. And then also the sacred, the sense that it becomes a sacred domain of our being, both a practice and also a way of being where we perceive that deep inner stillness, silence and spaciousness of mind. And again, that can help to inform how we then engage into our regular life. So rather than engaging life with a worldly mind that's caught up in pursuing worldly gains and worldly interest and self-centeredness, but more of a spiritual and sacred approach to life, which can then certainly add meaning and joy to our life and being, so that life can have something deeper and something more profound for our engagement. And so these were things that we looked at, that I reflected upon and spoke about for the retreat day, as well as other things as well. So for those that were here, would you like to share anything that may have stood out or been significant, or that or a question or comment about our retreat day? Brendan?
Hey, John, I thought it was a really good topic, really important for people to consider that, deeper aspect to life, considering we're in a world that's very focused on the superficial, on the external, on gaining wealth, on appearances, So I found it a really good reminder that there really is something sacred, and there is a purpose to our existence here.
Yeah.
It's not just buying fast cars and fancy clothes, etc. That we can look inside and find something far more meaningful than what mainstream society and the media presents to us as meaningful. So that's something that I've been trying to really be aware of and incorporate that approach to my life, and I hope that others were able to and get a really good sense of that as well from discussing that and from what you shared on Sunday.
Good. Yeah, that sense of go within or go without.
Yeah.
So if you don't go within, you go without all that really good stuff, which is beyond just the material mundane stuff that doesn't last, and it's rather ultimately dissatisfying and a source of stress and suffering.
Yeah, I think it's as well, we're in a world where it's about quick fix and instant gratification, that sort of thing. But this is more of a journey where by applying the right effort and staying the course and being open to the experiences that you get through meditation, then that's the way to find that deeper peace and meaning in your life, and instead of just constantly trying to get those superficial things.
Good.
I certainly had having that little bit more of a deep meditation in going, like just having the walking meditation in between. I suppose I'm like quite early at my baby steps for my meditation practice, and I'm just starting to feel into those experiences that are with my eyes closed and quietening the mind, and having the emphasis on spiritual and special practice. I think very much it helped that focus, helped the attention sort of pinpoint down a little bit more, and has since I mean, it's only been a week, but has since helped my practice.
Good.
And being in different spaces, but being able to sort of feel into that space again mentally. It has sort of, I know it's sort of sometimes difficult for me to sort of put to words, but stirred up a little bit as well. But it's really fantastic being in this environment with, you know, this group of people,
Yeah, yeah.
and hearing questions from other people as well. It really definitely gives me a lot more. Yeah, again, hard to put to words, but when someone else can, you know, sit up and put their hand up and have their opinion, that really sort of gives me more insight as to others' experiences and mine.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
good. That's
Yeah.
good. And that's why it's good too for people to share what they're going through, even with the meditation, which can be challenging at times. So that everyone's maybe sitting still and sitting quiet, but they might be sort of going through some challenges and pain in the body and distracted mind or dullness. But you know, in seeing others like, oh, they must be a perfect meditator, but one doesn't know what's going on. So that's where sharing and encouraging others can be really good. But also on the retreat, you mentioned the walking. And so it's really good to have that extended block of time beyond just a meditation sitting. So to do the sitting and then the walking and then the sitting, so that helps the mind, the quality of mindfulness to extend and become stronger and deeper. So we do get more out of the practice with those periods that are beyond just a meditation sitting, which we might do at home, which is fine. So a retreat offers that great potential. Mm.
I think that's something that was helpful for me, and thinking about spirituality was when you said that there's sort of the acceptance of that people that have daily spiritual practice and sacred ritual in their life are often more accepting of some of the distress or suffering that we face in our lives. So with illness or with death. And I think that that's something that I'm starting to sense even in my practice, just that it brings a lot of peace in some sense. Especially having come from more of a Christian prayer practice as a younger person, and I'm starting to feel and sense, oh, that's the sacredness and that's the spirituality in it. In it can be prayer or meditation, but it's that same feeling of a connectedness to each other in commune, and a connectedness to the natural world and the things that are so flashy and so attractive and in our faces, I suppose, with a lot of social media and big big unhealthy personalities sort of dominating a lot of the world, that quiet place is a really sacred thing
For sure.
to be seeking and to be trying to be into.
And certainly with that, Kylie, it's like people will always sort of be attracted to, distracted with the things that are flashy and amazing and out there. But it's about having a sense or knowing that there is something more than that. And that becomes like a refuge, a sense of joy that because the things that are flashy and attractive and so forth, as great as they might be, but they don't last. And but one can know that there's a way of being, there's a way of practicing, there's a way of perceiving that is profound in its simplicity and can bring great joy and worth, and particularly a practice like meditation, which fundamentally it's really simple, but it's something that can move the mind to deep, profound experience. And particularly also, it's been practiced for thousands of years. So in practicing meditation, we're engaging upon a practice that's been practiced and well tested for thousands of years in the history of humanity that has enabled people to realize profound spiritual truths and profound freedom. And the world will always have its worldliness, but it's like connecting with something that is special, and also connecting with other people that are practicing that as well, becomes that use the word connection. So connection to a deeper domain of our being, connection to something beyond the physical, material, mundane, mortal, and also connecting to others in that sense as well. So, and that makes the practice special, spiritual, and significant. And then being able to go about one's daily life with a sense of ease and joy, and certainly that point as well about that you mentioned reminded me that studies show that people that do have a religious, spiritual practice, sentiment, feel are less likely to be troubled by mundane issues when they do happen, because they have a refuge beyond just the mundane worldly stuff. They're likely to be generally healthier, and if they do become ill, they tend to recover quicker, because there's an aliveness, there's something extra that's going on there. So all good reason to keep up the practice.
John, I think it's kind of crazy when you think about it that, people expect that, well, if I get this much money, or if I, have plastic surgery and then I look at that, then I'll be happier. And that's the only way to find happiness is through those things. But that's only attainable for a very small number of people, and even then, it's questionable as to whether or not it really brings them, true happiness. But anybody, rich or poor, doesn't matter what you look like, you don't even have to have good health to find the peace that's available in meditation. So, that's something that's attainable to every, human being on the planet. Whereas, the other things that people aspire to in material wealth, etc., is not available to very many.
Sure, yeah. Good point.
Why go for the hard, almost unattainable thing when, yes, it requires effort and practice to meditate and to get those benefits, but all you need is your own effort. So that's when I think about it in that light, I'm like, well, this is the only real sane option.
Sure, yeah.
To try to find happiness.
And as well, to add to that, the less we are seeking and needing those material gains, apart from what is fundamentally needed for existing, but it's a gift to the planet, because less consumerism, less sort of buying another whatever to try and sort of seek some sort of happiness. If one finds a deeper happiness and fulfillment through sitting quietly, then it's certainly helping to the whole ecological, environmental conservation movement.
Making the world more peaceful, as well as feeling that peace within ourselves.
As well as more moral, and certainly in the context of Buddhist practice, the practice trinity is Sila, Samadhi, Panya, so morality, meditation, and wisdom. And so that, and the meditation doesn't work unless there is a foundation in morality or ethics. And also one needs to have enough understanding or wisdom to also practice the meditation and keep it going, seeing it's a worthwhile thing. And so that meditation is the center element or practice within that trinity. And certainly, as the Buddha said, that samadhi is the way to full, complete spiritual enlightenment, which is the eighth factor in the Eightfold Path, Samma Samadhi. He even pointed out, it's a lovely quote which I mentioned, I think it was during the Vassa retreat last year, that the Buddha said, three things will lead to the decline of the Buddha's teachings. One is a lack of respect and practice of the Dharma, the way of truth. A lack of appreciation and respect for the Vinaya, so discipline. And a lack of appreciation and practice of Samadhi. So Samadhi, meditation as a really important element for preserving the Buddha's teachings. If people don't practice a meditation, if they're scholars and study, which is fine, but if that's all there is, then that's not enough. That will bring the decline of the teaching. So the meditation aspect is really, really integral for Buddhism to be sustainable.
Well, the Buddha also said that ignorance is one of the major obstacles in our lives. And my personal experience and also my belief, and I think some of the people here might have the same experience, is that for some reason we are almost born with this longing, and it's an existential longing, and somehow, because of ignorance, it manifests as loneliness. And therefore we have people, that go after all these things to cover up this feeling. So I lost track.
It's okay. Well, the ignorance is ignoring the truth of things.
Yeah,
And
that's right. If we had a better education, we wouldn't go after all that stuff that commonly people go for.
Yeah.
But somehow they live a happy life still.
Until it stops.
No, the only thing that sometimes turn into a spiritual direction is when a tragedy happens. And that sometimes might last for 1 or 2 years, but sometimes people stay on it. But that's the only thing, basically, a shock like that will wake you up and take you to that, and that's it. Yeah.
Yes, well, even I think on the retreat it was mentioned that the dukkha, that sense of unease or dissatisfaction or suffering, is what wakes people up to maybe find something deeper, more meaningful that certainly can be enabled through the practice of meditation, moving the mind beyond being caught up in self. Because most of the stress and suffering is about the self. The body experiences pain, but the mental emotional suffering, that's to do with the self. I don't want, I don't like, I want more, I want less. This is not good enough. So it's all about the sense of self. And so moving the mind beyond the sense of self through the meditation shows there is great peace and profound joy and clarity, even freedom, when the self isn't happening. Which we spoke about last week as that experience of the numenos, and noumenal experience that takes the mind, blows the mind open to experience that sense of suchness, awe, wonderment, beyond thought. So the concept stops, the conceiving, the giving birth to conceit, self stops, and there's just this deep, profound peace and presence for a little while.
I think, John, just going back to, people chasing material things and then thinking that they're happy. I'm like, well, if they're really happy, why do they need so much alcohol and drugs, on top of that as well? I saw today that Uber's now delivering Dan Murphy's as well. So like, that to me just reinforces that, no matter how much money you have and how many things you can buy, you still want to drink and take drugs and other things to, again, you're trying to cover up that longing and that feeling of there's this underlying suffering that none of that will ever
And it's educating people to know that, hey, what you're seeking, relief from suffering, can be found in a way beyond another one or whatever, because that's not going to fulfill it. It's a distraction, but often people don't know any better. So it's like, okay, one can have compassion for them, but it's like, well, there are other options, such as meditation.
I suppose that's one of the benefits of mindfulness becoming mainstream, you know, like even in schools and things like that, there is an increase in awareness around creating a still mind. And so I know that it's maybe not necessarily always linked to sacred and special, but at least it's becoming part of, you know, a more a practice that's more widely understood.
So it's good in that sense, and that people that want to take it further beyond just, oh, we learned some mindfulness at school, or we had a business meeting and we did some mindfulness before we started the meeting. That's good. And then those that sense that something is special about that can then go further and access the more meditation and more the spiritual context of the meditation as well.
One of the ladies at the retreat used the analogy that it was a gateway drug.
It was a
gateway drug.
A gateway.
Mindfulness to
Okay.
feed onto Buddhist practice.
I'm not sure what a gateway drug is.
It's like if you start with something that's considered a soft drug, then you end up on hard drugs.
Right. Right.
But like the secular, just mindfulness practice being like the, you know, feeding onto
The entree. Yeah. Don't get fulfilled on the entree. It's not gonna. Justin?
Reflecting on the Sunday retreat with a template for I suppose a sort of conscious intentional practice of creating something that is sacred and spiritual. I suppose what I've been reflecting on is the way that a practice can be a reminder or a bridge. I was thinking about the word special, which I find an unusual word. It's maybe in my upbringing, special was always seen as a little bit negative or a little bit standouty, but I was reflecting on the word special in this context, and I thought that meditation was actually a sort of special kind of bridge to reconnecting or remembering that we are already sacred and spiritual, and that the seeking of, you know, something sacred and spiritual, the movement of the seeking is maybe not necessarily as helpful for me as remembering that we already are. And so I found that reflecting on the words you chose for thinking about the meditation practice really a useful reminder that that the movement is already, there's no need for movement, it's already here.
And in that's where the letting go, the depersonalizing comes in, and so the special spiritual sacred, as you're saying, is already the fundamental nature. It's just taking the layers off, and it's there. The clouds sort of parting.
It's like stripping away the conditioning that we've had that obscures it.
Yeah, dissolving, dissipating, like the sun sort of dissipating the clouds, and then there's just light, radiance.
And the goal is not over there, that something to be attained.
It's already here.
It's already there, and you just have to reveal it.
Yeah.
And that doing that in the sacred spiritual context of a group of people just sort of is another layer. So the practice is sacred, spiritual, the sangha, the group doing it together. So I like those layers,
that's good.
layers of meaning that yeah, you we put in.
Good, good. Well, thanks for sharing. And also to remind that next Thursday we have a special guest, a monk from the Hindu tradition, and he's a disciple of Amma, friend of Stephen, who's sitting at the back there. So he'll be here next Thursday evening to share some reflections. So as mentioned in the newsletter that went out a week or so ago, that he'll be here, and it's a chance to meet and hear some teachings and see the similarities and see the differences, and ask some questions. So if you can make it, that'd be good. So thanks for coming out tonight on this cool evening. Have a pleasant evening and see you next time.